success without devotion, without caring, woman, sister, friend, mother. That warmth, gentle yet firm in patience to raise, son, daughter, father, mother. That with which gives birth to life itself. What greater sacrifice from a love of a mother, lioness, that nurtures the seed of life from conception throughout existence's every stage. Life's greatest artists, philosophers, poets, painters, name them. History long, their undeniable mark on us all. Big and small, made possible by woman and born from woman. Our instincts never doubt them. This blessing to bear a child, to give life on this earthly planet, this power divine. How can we not make it happen in business? Today, this question and many others shall be answered by 9 prominent businesswomen present here today, just to share their experiences and inspire us all. But first, please allow me to introduce our panelists. Lebanese fashion designer Aisha Ramadan, founder of fashion label Aisha since 2007, and known for dressing A-list Hollywood and Bollywood celebrities. Aisha began her career focusing on couture, but has recently been more focused on ready-to-wear and ready couture. A mother with a business and a full-time job, Aisha has also recently launched her CSR initiative, Talahum by AR, that provides for the less fortunate around the Arab world. Joy Ajlouni is the co-founder of Fetcher, a Silicon Valley-backed technology company based in Dubai, aimed at solving emerging market shipment logistics. Fetcher is the first startup in the Middle East to be funded by a top venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. While only 2.7% of venture capital funds worldwide have been raised by women, Joy has successfully raised funds for 2 companies from some of the most prestigious Silicon Valley venture capital firms. Margherita Cecchini comes with 20 years of experience in the European beauty industry, having led brands like Kiko Milano as divisional director for beauty brands for Kamal Osman Jamjoom Group. She now takes care of brands like Mikiaji, The Body Shop, Naomi Beauty Salon, and Neil's Yard Remedies. Muna Ataya is a serial entrepreneur. After founding online search engine for jobs in the Middle East, Bait.com, Muna set out in 2011 to disrupt the well-ingrained retail space for mother, baby, and child products, and launched the Pioneer, and today the largest mother, baby, and child site in the region. With over 30 awards in the past 5 years as the leading vertical for baby and child online shopping, Mom's World has already established itself as a true household name in the region. Muna Al Ghurk is an active member of Dubai's business and non-profit community, heading several organizations like Young Arab Leaders UAE. She is currently Director of Retail for the family business and international retail conglomerate, Isa Saleh Al Ghurk Group, responsible for strategy and operational development for the group's international and local retail brands. Nisreen Shukair is the president of Virgin Megastore for the Middle East, with extensive experience within the music, publishing, licensing, digital, and retail sectors. She is instrumental in building the Virgin brand across the Middle East by incorporating local and international consumption trends into one shopping experience. Saba Tahir is the Senior Vice President of Purchasing and Research Department at Dubai Duty Free. She carries over 3 decades of valuable experience in the travel retail industry and is responsible for developing product assortments, following consumer and market trends, as well as managing sales and overall margins across all categories. Sarah Jones, founder Mini Exchange. From a very tender age, Sarah dreamt of starting her own business. She left her cushy job at Deloitte and set up Mini Exchange, an online marketplace for childcare products in 2014. She has raised the seed funding round of $1.5 million for Mini Exchange and was selected for Google's prestigious Black Box Accelerator program in Silicon Valley in 2015. Finally, Siddiqa Sohail is the owner of Spontiforia, a Dubai-based independent concept store that is a bakery cafe, boutique, and event space. Spontiforia is Sohail's first full-time job right out of college, and is her first experience and foray into business after starting it as a home business in 2011. Today, we are all very eager to know from all of you, what does the she factor add to a business or an entrepreneurial endeavor? Aisha, please.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for all the beautiful ladies for joining me. What the she factor, or what the woman really has to add, has a lot to do with her own creation, being a mother in her instinct. I think there are several points. Being a mother makes her, as a buyer, be the leader in making most of the purchasing decisions. But as a professional, she understands what this buyer really wants. She knows exactly how to market it to her, how to place it, how to package it, and so on and so forth. Most importantly, the woman is really emotionally connected, so she can connect to the consumer. And I'd like to give a little example about that. When I worked with a huge cosmetic firm, the marketing manager was a female and the brand director was a male, and their approaches were very different. So the manager, who's a male, all he really cared about was to have a booth in the mall to drive sales. And what the woman really wanted, what the marketing manager wanted, is to build a long-term loyalty, to get them attached to the brand and to change their perception about that brand. So I was able to see where this direction could have been better directed. Yes, of course. Yeah. And finally, they're obviously multitaskers. So during the day, they're professional. Even though they're emotionally connected, they're very professional. They finish, they go, life did not end here. She's a mother, she's a partner, she's a sister, she's a friend. She goes on with her life. She goes on to her gym, to her yoga, whatever her activities are. So there's an immense amount of energy and open-mindedness with the females nowadays.
Interesting. Nisreen?
I probably see things a little bit differently because I generally don't like generalizations. I never got into business because I'm a woman. I never expected things as a woman. And I think that we've moved beyond the she factor and the he factor. Our best fashion for women buyer is actually a man. Our best electronics and gaming seller on the floor is a woman. So I see very different roles today, not necessarily she or he. We talk a lot about women being romantic or using the right brain or the left brain and so on. I think that in general, if I had to just say what the she factor is, it would be more gender equality, more inclusiveness, more ability to understand women and men going through different life stages and be able to address a better work-life balance. But when it really comes to industry, to buying, to economics, to finance, I can see the he and the she factor equally as strong and truly balancing each other.
Yeah, I have to say that I would echo exactly what you said. You know, my former days were at Deloitte where, you know, I was a banker and, you know, working crazy hours, and I was one woman in a team of 25, and I've grown up with 5 brothers as well. So I don't know if that makes me more male in the mind, but, you know, I don't think that to start a business or to be successful or to be driven or passionate or tenacious about what you're doing kind of links to whether you're man or woman. I think there's a lot of qualities that need to be within somebody that's an entrepreneur, or whether that's, you know, just a businesswoman or a business person in general, to make them successful that isn't necessarily down to gender. And I definitely don't think that in my mini exchange days so far there's ever been any you know, reason why somebody would be more successful as a man over a woman in that.
Margaret?
Well, I think that the best solution is a good mixing between men and women. So it's not about she factor or he factor, it's about really
more of a balance.
A mixing of the two things. On the other side, I must say that in my experience, I always seen successful projects done together. Women can bring in any case passion, intelligence, smartness, and somehow a 360-degree eyes, which men are less focused on a one thing. We are more capable of looking at a 360-degree. That's the thing.
Yeah. Joy?
Well, I kind of agree with Nisreen. I don't think it should be a she or a he factor. I think even saying she is immediately, if the woman, the men, I'm a person, period. The minute you talk to me in a she factor, you've not made me equal to a man. So for me, I'm against the whole she factor, he factor. How about I'm a person factor, right? But with that being said, I find being a woman a huge advantage. I find that when men, I negotiate with men all day long. I have 900 employees, and I've raised $11 million, so I've been pitching venture capitalists for years now, and I'm always surrounded by men. And I feel that when it comes to negotiating, I think women have a huge advantage, because I think when another man is talking to another man, there's an ego factor involved. I'm going to show you that I'm making a stand. But I feel when a woman, like when I go and I need to negotiate, I'm the one who negotiates terms, because I feel like I can reach him without an ego play.
Yeah.
So I use that to my advantage every single day. I'm a woman, and I come in and I'm here to negotiate. I'm not here to challenge you. And I think women who use that to their advantage, not their physical attributes, but their brains. You go in and you have an idea and you want to speak about it, and I'm here to talk to you, and I'm not here to challenge you. I'm here to walk away with a contract. And I think at the end of the day, it's easier to talk to a woman than a man to a man, and I've used it to my advantage.
I agree.
That's my experience.
Thank you.
The world is made of 50-50 men and women.
Yeah.
From the retail point of view, if you have an organization which is coming close to that, then it's really relevant. The women market, I think it's bigger than China and India combined. The top six businesses in G7 countries are managed by women. They have senior positions in this area. And then again, globally, 24% of the women are having senior management positions. In Dubai Duty Free, the female and the male employee ratio is about 53 and 47%. And in executive management, we are 14, and 4 are women, which comes to 30%. And in the purchasing department, the top 4 positions are occupied by women, and the 55% of the workforce in the purchasing department are women. So the numbers should itself tell the audience the women factor in travel retail. So if you have shopped while traveling today, thank a woman for putting a right assortment in place. Thank you.
Mona.
I again echo Nasreen's opinion. I wouldn't put a category to let's say a man or a woman. I come from a marketing and advertising background, so you would have thought that perhaps the best creative directors out there would be women, but that's not the case. So, having said that, I think women are quite compassionate, and so when it comes to certain decisions, perhaps on the board, when it comes, I also work on on the Al Ghurq Foundation board, and I think that that's where women's skills kind of really come into place. I definitely agree with the people who say that there's no real category when it comes to men or women. There's absolutely no distinction there.
Thank you, Mona. Mona Ataya.
So the most effective organizations are the ones that have gender diversity. There have been a lot of studies, some very famous studies like the Catalyst 2007, or the Harvard Business Review reports that go out annually that talk about how women have natural tendencies that are special. So for example, they say that women are intuitive, they're empathetic, they are inclusive, they like collaboration, they like alignment in an organization. So all of that are positive traits of a woman by her very nature. However, having said that, these studies are edited just as fast or as regular as they are published. The reality is we're finding more and more women in the executive level and the C level who are atypical. They're bridging that gap of the gender role, and they're demonstrating that they have both male characteristics and female characteristics in their adaptability, in their flexibility, in their sensitivities, and they're able to kind of move across different industries. And the reason for that is very important. The reason for that is that we oftentimes forget that leadership and success in the workforce is not about the leader. It is about the people being led and the industry being tackled. So as a woman, if I'm in a predominantly male industry with predominantly male employees, my strategies, my tactics, my strengths have to be adapted accordingly. Now, the final thing I will just mention is that there is one thing that women are doing differently, and that is they are rethinking or reshaping the way we define the workforce. So women, and I would say in particular mothers, who by their very nature are juggling a lot of things, are focusing on efficiency, not just effectiveness. They're focusing on quality, not just time in the workforce. And they're focusing on output, not just input. And I think that paradigm is something that women are shaping, and I believe we'll continue to see that shaping in the next decade.
Thank you, Mona. Siddiqa?
Well, even though I'm not one to condone the idea of gender determining the operations or the success or nature of a business, it's a fact that the majority of shoppers worldwide are women. So in one way, I guess that women entrepreneurs would be better in tune with nuanced consumer trends. But what I also do think is that because glass ceilings still very much exist, female business owners tend to perform over and above expectations, not to prove a point to anyone in particular, but because it takes that extra effort to leave an impact in a very much male-dominated environment.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddiqa. Aisha, first I would like to congratulate you for the fashion show that happened a couple of days ago. I have to say I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Because it attends to several tastes. As an influencer, what do women entrepreneurs or retailers add to an industry that's highly dynamic and ever-changing?
I mean, besides everything that we spoke about, I believe that she adds her, she's becoming a more global citizen, so she adds more of the open-mindedness. And something very interesting lately is that she's no longer narrow-minded about her own expertise. So let's say she's in the retail business or a fashion designer, she understands about the finance, about the supply chain, about the marketing part, about the consumer behavior and so on. She is much more expanded, and I feel that this is a huge added value.
And the women entrepreneurs in the GCC, they increased from 4% to 10% at the 2011-2014 period. Do you see more and more women being keen to set up their own enterprises?
Oh my God, of course, definitely. In Saudi Arabia, for instance, during the past few years, much more women have been holding on leadership positions. Firstly, because they're inheriting more of their parents' properties and businesses, and they're taking on the lead. And King Salman and King Abdullah have given them that opportunity. So you see them working. So that's a huge, huge part. And GCC is mostly composed of Saudi Arabia. Now you see lawyers. You see many of them. From my point of view, where we are, fashion, beauty segments, and I think you ladies notice every day there's a new blogger, beauty expert, makeup artist, hairdresser, celebrity, I don't know what. Regardless of the quality and whether that's right or wrong, they're surfacing. So at least 10% of them are going to definitely take the lead in the future, and many more are following their footsteps. So definitely, they're going for it. And I see a lot of them even initiating the e-commerce through Instagram and WhatsApp. That's a huge thing that women started. So this is from the way I see it. I don't know. I mean, when you see on Instagram products of handmade stuff, it's all women. And they write for you, just WhatsApp me. And they do business through that. It's so simple, maybe primitive, but very effective.
True. Nisreen, what can you add to Aisha on this matter?
I think if you think about the percentage in and of itself, when we talk about 4 to 11%, it sounds really impressive. But when you factor in how the economy has grown, is that good or bad? I think it's not great. I think a better metric is what % of these of startups today are actually run by women. I think that's really important. I think that we have a really, really long way to go as far as educating young people, even as early as school, what entrepreneurship is. We still have more failures than successes, so that's really important for us to hone in on why the failures are taking place and how can we educate our young entrepreneurs to get over the initial hurdles. I think that when we also look at many different businesses or many different startups, why are people choosing to be entrepreneurs? We always talk about it as if it's a choice or it's something fun. I quit my job and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's one reason. But what we forget about is other needs, real needs. I can't find a job, or I never graduated, like you said, using technologies and so on. So I had to start my own business. My husband left me, and I need to support my children. Disabilities, physical, dyslexia, and so on. So I think we have a long way to go. Today, we're very much focusing on the basic entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs who can make the cover of a magazine, but I think what we need to look at also is how do we create proper industries, proper businesses, how to teach young entrepreneurs how to use technology, not just in main cities, but villages and remote areas, and really start getting anyone who felt they didn't have a choice, that they actually have a choice to not just support themselves and improve their lives, but the lives of their children and grandchildren.
Thank you, Nasreen. Siddiqa, we would like to hear your opinion on this as well, being the owner of a business.
Yeah, I mean, I opened within that period in 2013, so I do see that the percentage of women that own businesses is really increasing, but I think that also fits within the larger picture that a lot of homegrown concepts are increasing and more opening up every day, so that has more to do with I think Dubai being more receptive to homegrown concepts, be it consumers or investors. So I think if you look at the percentage of businesses increasing compared to the percentage of businesses being started by women, it would be more or less proportionate. But what I do think as well is helping is technology and social media, as other two panelists mentioned as well. So the idea of the marketplace is changing. Businesses are being more and more accessible to a wider range of socioeconomic statuses to start. You no longer need that huge capital to begin. So that does affect the statistics as well. And I do think at the end of the day, women are still sadly considered to be the primary caregivers or homemakers. So it does help because in essence, you're allowed to have a more flexible schedule. So I think all these factors do add up.
You have created your own retail concept. Do you think women are better suited as brand creators or retail operators?
Well, I had an issue with this question in the beginning, yes. And I think we're, as a society, we're past saying that your gender determines your skills or what particular enterprise you can start. But I think at the end of the day, it has to do with more of the skills you accumulate over the years. And whether you're male or female, if you are a brand creator, that doesn't mean you're going to be a bad retail operator. But when I thought about it a little more, I realized that it has maybe more to do with whether you're a more creative right-brain person or a more realistic left-brain person, because if you're a brand creator, you're obviously more creative, and the kind of nitty-gritty things tend to stress you out. That's me. And then you have people that are really good retail operators because they thrive on that sort of structure. So I don't think gender has anything to do with it.
Sarah, do you agree on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, these ladies have said it, themselves. To be honest with you, I've seen that starting a business at a young age actually probably had more, instead of actually being a woman. I think I also agree with Joy in terms of, women starting a business and women being able to negotiate and having this skill set is, definitely has an advantage in a predominantly male kind of workforce, especially in the Middle East. But being young and going into a meeting and, having to have that, straight away discrimination of, are you able to do that? I think has definitely come first over a gender discrimination or a reason why a female couldn't start a business.
You dreamt of becoming an entrepreneur quite early in life. Did you ever feel your gender or age acted as a hindrance in what you wanted to achieve?
I don't think it ever acted as a hindrance. I think it, walking into a meeting with, the head of Johnson & Johnson or the head of, one of these big groups and somebody looking at you, and, I started Mini when I was 25. does definitely come with a stigma. It also comes, when you're working in a banking world and you take a jump and everybody thinks, you only graduated 2 years ago and you're going to, set up this business. I think as you get more recognition, whether that be fundraising rounds that you've closed, whether that be, brands that you're working with, whether that be, scale in the market or new markets you're entering, people then start to take you a little bit more seriously and realize you're not just kind of here for a bit of a laugh. But I definitely think that the kind of initial stigma that one gets from being young and starting a business young, I think they soon realize within about 5 minutes of talking to me that they that I don't think it makes much of a difference. But it's it's not easy. I don't think it's easy anybody starting a business, to be quite honest with you. It's a roller coaster. It's a tough ride. It's in any world, whether that's beauty, whether that's retail, whether that's e-commerce, whether that's any of these things, I think it's a real challenge, and I think you've got to be very, very passionate about what you're doing and what you want to create to be successful, regardless of gender or age.
Joy, logistics is a largely male-dominated industry. But at Fetcher, you like hiring bright young women. What do they add to your business?
Well, I talked about not having any difference between a man and a woman. But I have to tell you, I have hired a lot of American or Canadian or European educated girls from Ivy League schools. I make a joke that a woman's best accessory is all the, well, we won't say that, the Harvard girls that you hire. But I hire a lot of Harvard girls, a lot of girls from Ivy League schools that are educated in America, and it's been a huge plus for me because their brain and the way they think and their work ethic and their determination they're the best employees in my company by far. So I go out of my way seeking young, Western, educated women, and they've been a huge plus for me. I don't have to push them, and I don't know if that's the education, I don't know if it's the mix of the culture, but I never have to ask my favorite question, did you? You know that, all you ladies up there know that one, right? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? I love that word. But with them, I find that they're determined, and it's been a huge plus for me.
Having co-founded an organization that has taken service to a higher level, do you think women can reshape customer satisfaction?
I think women are definitely pickier than men, not a question. I mean, my most complaints on social media are women. I think they demand higher standards, no question. I think they really understand what it means to cater, because women naturally are caterers. We do more naturally, so we understand what it means to deliver a good service. And I think because of that, I've hired a lot of women in my company that when we brainstorm, well, how can we better serve a customer? A guy is like, I don't know, we just deliver the package. I'm like, no. So yes, I think it's just women's brains are geared more to catering, right? It's just a natural instinct. It's a natural DNA. And they're better at multitasking, for sure.
That I agree on. Nisreen, women's economic integration and empowerment is a global issue. Do you think enough is being done in this regard? Are there any specific initiatives that Virgin Megastore undertakes in this regard?
I think it's sad to say that in a year like 2016, whether you're looking at a developed country or a developing country, we have problems across the span of the globe. In developing markets, 500 million women are still illiterate, and we're not even talking about early marriages and so on. And in developed countries, a woman has to work 10 years longer than a man to make up for the pay gap. So I think we're still in a very shameful place, regardless of all the efforts. However, not all is lost. I think that the awareness factor has been really key. My daughter is 16, and when I see how aware she is of her rights and the fact that there is gender inequality and she knows what she's good at and strong at, it allows her to lead a path where she's going to demand more equality. I just heard about an incredible site called GetRaised.com. And if you go on Get Raised, you're going to fill out an application, and it's going to help you get a raise. 70% of any woman who's gone to the GetRaised.com site got a promotion, and on average, they've been able to give every woman through Get Raised $7,000. That's incredible, using logic rather than emotion. Virgin has been very active in that space. Again, if you want to say, he, she, I think part of it is just me having, 50 nationalities, mostly from developing markets, and seeing how important it is for us as leaders to play a role for them, how to encourage them to ask, stand up for what they believe in, empower them, and so on. Probably the one I'm most proud of, other than us being able to increase our share of women in the workforce and doing a lot for them as far as work-life balance, especially in retail. It's not a very easy industry. And doing our best to kind of compensate for government laws around maternity is really to instill something called returnships. So if you leave work for whatever reason, because you're the primary caretaker, and whether it's to care for an elderly parent or your kids during a period of time, it was really important for me to allow these women to be able to come back. Not come back as an intern again or come back as a personal assistant, but really come back at the same level they left at. And we work with them on giving them a 6-month training. They get the same salary they left maybe 5-7 years ago with. We give them a lot of self-confidence. We teach them some of the tools that they forgot along the way. And that's been an incredible workforce to tap into. Very loyal, very, very committed as well. And I think that for me, it's been a better investment, because it is an investment, versus internships, because there are very few companies willing to take a risk.
Nisreen, why are there fewer women in top positions within retail organizations today?
In the US, there are less women than men, because by nature, the nature of retail is you grow through the ranks. And we do tend to lose a lot of women from the floor space. It's a challenge I think anyone would have. In the Middle East, you'll see a lot of women at the top of a retail organizational chain. So it doesn't necessarily translate as far as statistics. But I can say from a personal challenge, it's very hard for me to maintain and keep women through managerial positions and up, mainly because the hours are tough. They're really, really tough. And when you get to markets like Egypt, Jordan, where it's not culturally acceptable to leave the family on a weekend or not be there for lunchtime or have to work till midnight when the store closes, we try for it not to stand in their way, but they choose to leave this industry because they need more manageable hours, they need more predictability, they need to take their kids to school. It's actually a big, big challenge of ours, and I don't think we've found a way to crack it yet.
Margarita, what's your take on this topic?
Well, if you see, around less than 6% of women are CEOs, and less than 20% of women are part of a board. So it's not only in the retail, really, it's generally in the industry. So that's the fact. It's true that retail needs a lot of energy, as she was saying, I mean, in terms of hours, in terms of availability, in terms of capability of organizing the proper life. But in any case, it's not only in retail. So on the other side, let's say that really women somehow they have to fight a little bit more than men. They have to be able to organize their life. Personally, I come from Italy, so Italy is a very modern country. But in any case, women are suffering over there in the same path as here. As a company in Kamal Osman Janjum, we have 800 stores. Most of the stores are managed by women. So from the feminization in KSA, we really pushed and we wanted to feminize all the stores. And over the years, we pushed female to grow their career. And now we have regional managers, we have store managers. They can cope with their life. It's just about organizing the capability. But I absolutely push my team in order to grow their career. And when they start to grow, they really enjoy.
Interesting.
Actually, I'd just like to step in at this point and ask a couple of more questions of the panel to get the conversation flowing a bit more. Mona, to you first, on the point that was made about regional and cultural differences, would you agree that you see any differences in terms of how women are represented, or indeed how much representation they are given, depending on which geography we are looking at or which culture?
This Mona or that Mona?
You.
So you're asking me about the differences in regional and cultural sensitivities.
Yes.
I haven't actually found that. So I think we've crossed that line of any regional or cultural variances. At the end of the day, a woman or a man is judged by her skill set, her ability and willingness to work, and her ability and willingness to innovate. We are now in a day and age where really it's about innovation. It's about being authentic as a business. It's about paving the way and leading the way as opposed to following others, and doing things that are different. So for us at Mums World, we built Mums World with a key consumer missing need that we wanted to address. And over the past 5 years, we were pioneers in this area, trying to build what we believe will create very positive social impact in the region. And again, our staff is very diverse, both culturally as well as skill set, and it's that diversity that adds tremendous richness.
Do you sense any differences in terms of the accountability that's expected of you? I'm asking this question because of the global context we have going right now, the raging debate in the US over who might be the next president, and indeed the kind of questions that got thrown up with references to gender and how one particular candidate viewed the gender. Do you see any differences in accountability when you engage with business people across the world? Sorry.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Do you see any difference in terms of the accountability that's expected of you or your organization?
So, every employee at every level of the organization is accountable. You're hired into the organization, whether you're a leader or a receptionist, you are accountable for certain deliverables. And you have certain, if you like, KPIs that demonstrate that accountability. I think more and more as the world changes and as the workforce changes, what companies are hiring are people who have a sense of ownership, who have a very strong sense of accountability and want to create things from nothing. Again, Mums World being an entrepreneurial organization, we hire people who are very accountable, who come up with ideas on a daily basis and can take them from A to Z and measure the results. So accountability is absolutely essential in today's world.
I just want to switch to this side of the panel as well, where an interesting point was made with regards to different life cycles. There is no difference in accountability or performance for genders, but life cycles may be different. How exactly do you make place for that in how a woman's life cycle may be moving different from her male counterpart, and how do you ensure that there's place for her to ensure that she can juggle both things, a personal life where she may have certain needs and a professional aspiration? Yes, to you.
So I'm sorry, the mic is really hard to
You can use my microphone, maybe.
Step back.
So basically you're asking how is it possible for women to juggle both those things?
No, my question is how do you accommodate for those changes or differences in life cycles where a woman may have certain personal aspirations but professional ones too, and her life cycle is moving differently from a male?
I commend anyone. I'm not married and I don't have any children. I work 16-hour, 18-hour days. I mean that. I'm lucky if I get 4 hours a night of sleep. I mean, I work around the clock and I enjoy it. I'm very passionate about closing deals, but I really commend women who have children.
I don't have children.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was looking over here. Because, listen, I really appreciate everybody up here who's just like, yeah, I can run my family and run a company. And more power to you, but something's got to give. You can't tell me that you're going to be an incredible mom 24 hours a day and you're running a company as a CEO with 1,000 employees in five countries and tell me that your kids are not. I don't buy it.
I feel I should answer that question. Is that what you're hinting at?
No, I'm just saying that.
Actually, my question is also, it's more with regards to how you approach this as an employer rather than what you do personally. Because it's so important to create an ecosystem for women who are working to ensure or assure them that they are allowed to go out and have a personal life or have a child if they may so choose to, and come back and still be a professional, and they will be accepted and not judged for it.
I will take a bit of that question, but I actually wanted Muna also to talk a little bit about about maternity and so on.
Yeah.
So I have a teenage daughter who's 16, and I have twin boys who are 4. And I probably can understand different life stages because it's happened to me more than once. When I delivered the twins, I had to go back to work after 7 days. And it's nothing to be proud of. In fact, the first thing I did when I got back was apologize to my team, both men and women, because I set a very, very bad example. I think it's really crucial that we look at leaders in that space, other countries, more developed countries, and what they've really done for the family, because we have no work-life balance in the markets that we're in. And if you're in retail or you're a startup, forget about it. It's completely gone. 7 days a week, all hours. Fridays we're off here, but Europe and the US is working, and so on and so forth. And if you're online, then it's 24/7. It's important to set an example. I believe in that. When you come into the office, when you leave, making sure you're effective, efficient, even sometimes holding yourself. You really want to email your team and tell them to address something, but you can't do it, especially now with WhatsApp and so on. It's so easy to just reach out to your team, but you're going to disrupt their day, especially if it's bad news. You're the boss. They're going to take that message very seriously. Maybe the tone wasn't right, and it's going to ruin their evening with their wife or their kids. I think that we have to play a very, very responsible role. We have to be cautious what kind of example we set for them, because they're going to be the future managers. And the way we treat them and manage them, they're going to treat the next generation of team members. So I think that it's really, really essential going forward to emphasize balance. It's important for us as managers sometimes to note that someone's working really hard, maybe an audit period or a quarterly presentation period, to say, listen, you've been away from the family, thank you very much. I want you to take 2 days off and spend it with the kids, pick up the kids from school and so on. I think that's the new way to run an organization. Not because you're a woman or a man or because I understand it, but because it's really what we need to do to build a better society.
Would anyone here like to take that question on adapting or making space for different life cycles for women professionals?
I mean, I'd like to talk a bit about the challenges that working women face. And I totally agree, something's got to give. Okay, so when basically people ask the question, can women have it all? No, they can't have it all. Can men have it all? No. So one of the challenges that women face in the UAE, for example, and this is one of the biggest challenges, is once she becomes a mother, she's got 45 days off, and if she's lucky, she gets 60 days off with her full annual leave. And so this has been a challenge for the past couple of years because increasingly working hours have increased. The working hours now in the GCC are global working hours. So basically, when I heard recently that a committee was formed at the Federal National Council level to change the legislation and to give more maternity leave for women, that was a very positive welcome. And I think a lot of women are now looking forward to seeing that legislation change for them. But certainly I agree, women, something's got to give. If you're going to give your full hours at work, you can't have it all, for sure.
I literally, I mean this, and I swear I'm not patting myself on the back. I come home at 10 o'clock, and I literally pass out in my clothes.
Exactly.
Okay, I wake up with my clothes on because I'm just exhausted. Yeah. I don't know how I could possibly talk to a husband or have kids. I don't want to talk to, I have nothing to say. I'm like literally a zombie. I come home, I pass out in my clothes, and I wake up. I mean, so I don't know how you guys do it, but I really commend you.
There's just one very quick note, is that where I've seen organizations successful in, from this perspective, I've seen daycare centers being built in some organizations in the UAE, and I have seen that those women are definitely more comfortable because they feel that their children are sort of close by to them. And I've seen that those women are happy to give back, happy to work, give as many hours as possible, knowing that their kids are next door somewhere. where they can sort of pop in and check on them.
If I may add, sorry, because this is actually, you've touched on a very sensitive topic. I'm a mother of 3 myself, and I think with this elusive thing called balance or equilibrium is something that we all as mothers particularly search for. And I realized a year ago that this, again, elusive equilibrium actually does not exist. It's a daily choice of priorities. So on a daily basis, you say, today my priorities are my twin boys or my employees or my shareholders. And as long as that equilibrium is never shifted in one direction or the other, and you keep on shifting and balancing it, then you're okay. And as long as that open communication to all the stakeholders is there, again, that balance becomes more comfortable. Now, I will add, though, that, again, I think Nisreen mentioned that just as women find this challenge with balance, so do men. Exactly. But we have it differently. In our particular industry, most of our A personnel and our top executives, not only are they women, but they're mothers. And the beauty of that is they're able to balance the work focus. They're able to contribute what they understand are the insights that are unique to the consumer because they themselves are the consumer. And at the same time, they're able to go back to their home and shift that balance and that paradigm. So you can make it work as long as you have that concerted understanding that there are only so many hours in a day, so many days in a year, and you need to keep on shifting priorities daily.
Or you can somewhat make it work. There's a funny story about Indra Nooyi, the CEO of Pepsi, who would miss every parent-teacher meeting for her children, and when they would complain, she would go to work and call the school and ask who else was missing, and then she would go back and tell her children, well, so-and-so's mother wasn't there either, so that doesn't make me a bad mom. I was just at work. But one final question from me before I hand it back to the moderator. Many of you have self-owned businesses, but I just want your thoughts on the issue of pay parity and whether or not you have ever faced any challenges regarding that, regarding the kind of financial reimbursements that are given out and whether there are any differences drawn between genders while doing that, for anyone who would like to take that.
I didn't understand
because I can't hear. It's really hard to hear.
Are you saying pay disparity? Are you asking about pay disparity?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
it's an awful mic.
I mean, definitely not at Mini Exchange, and 80% of our employees are female. For me, it makes absolutely no difference, whether somebody's a female or a male, and definitely no disparity in salary from that. And also in my banking days, from London and in Dubai, there was definitely no disparity. So yes, I think maybe when it gets to higher levels, or that there can be some, but I think at more junior levels, especially, I think as long as you're a hard worker and you can deliver, and you're accountable for what you have on your plate and what you deliver against that and your KPIs, then I see absolutely no reason why there should be a disparity, and definitely haven't come across it myself.
Would anyone else like to add to that? I'll hand it back
Thank
to
you. Margarita, coming back to you. Women have been the chief purchasing officers of households globally. Now they are financially independent too. Has this changed their buying behavior?
Well, first of all, I think the power of purchasing is in the women. If you see, it's the purchasing all over the world is about, I read, $18 trillion a year. And women are responsible for 2/3. So we enjoy shopping, definitely. But the thing is that somehow the change is that through e-commerce, we buy both on e-commerce or in the retail. And I think it's more about enjoying the experience of buying. And it's both, again, it can be nice to shop in a store, or is it nice to shop in an e-commerce experience? So now they are independent. I guess they don't have only to shop for basic things. They just enjoy, to create an image for themselves. They buy for being beautiful, to be on trend. So that's the thing.
Thank you, Margarita. Mona Al-Gurk, the Isa Saleh Al-Gurg Group is one of the few retail conglomerates in the region that has 3 women at the board level. Do you see increasing number of GCC women taking leadership roles in family businesses?
Yeah. So, can you hear me? Yeah. I'm going to speak on behalf of women in family businesses in the GCC. Absolutely, there is an increase in the the number of women who are part of family businesses now, and I think there are a couple of factors that have led to this. Number one being wealth preservation. I think women now want to have a seat at the table because they want to know, is this business growing? What's my share of this business? Not just from an inheritance perspective, from their personal perspective, but even for their children. Is this business being led in the best manner? Is it being managed to the most efficient way? So wealth preservation and growth is, I think, the number one factor of women being part of their family businesses now. Number two is education. I think women in the 60s, 70s, 80s, none of them had MBAs, none of them had a business background. The skill set that women have right now is different to what was in the past. So in the past, perhaps women relied more on their male counterparts to give them an answer about, let's say, where this business is going. Women now have the skill set to sit at the table and discuss. Number three, I would say, is domestic help, really. With wealth now, with the increasing amount of wealth, women can afford to have help. Probably in the past, they would have left their kids with their mothers, etc. But now, women have the ability to bring domestic help into the house, and so that's helped them also to go into the workplace. And so these are the three factors that I feel really have led to more women being part of the family business conglomerates in the GCC.
Mona, I think you might have addressed already the question of challenge.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add in terms of the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur and as part of the workforce?
Really, I mean, as I said, I think maternity leave is number one challenge in the UAE. I really hope to see that change. Other than that, I mean, the rest is just global challenges, really. Same global challenges that women face all over the world.
Thank you, Mona. Mona Ataya, we cannot talk about challenges without also including the mom's world. You were the first woman to pioneer e-commerce 5 years ago in the Middle East in a predominantly male-led industry, and have since built the largest leading e-commerce vertical for all things mother and child in the Middle East region. What was the ecosystem like when you started, and how were you able to maintain such a strong leading position for the past 5 years?
So 5 years ago, two things were happening. And our decision to launch Mum's World was driven by two motivators. The first one is we identified key consumer needs within the mother segment that were not being addressed. So access to choice of quality baby products was limited. Prices were very high, particularly when you compare to the international market. Comprehensive information in Arabic and English, where an Arabic market here was very limited. And convenient access for a time-starved mother in a very proliferated and fragmented region was difficult. So we set out, to solve these very important challenges. On the other side, we looked at the actual industry. So e-commerce is the biggest trend of the decade globally. While it was only $2 billion in this part of the world, it was a $1.6 trillion industry globally. So we knew that this was a trend that was not going away because the consumer was changing. The consumer's paradigm was changing, and her habits were changing. So with that consumer need and with the industry, we brought these both together and launched Mum's World in 2011. Now, at the time, the ecosystem was very underdeveloped. That has positives and negatives. The negatives are that we were essentially creating things from scratch. In order for you to succeed in e-commerce, you need several touch points that work in your favor and support you. You need payment gateways that work. You need courier services who understand that they have to deliver quickly and huge volumes. You need technology staff. You need technology providers. All of that did not exist in the region. So through lots of trial and error, we were kind of failing fast. So that was kind of the challenge. Now, the positive side of that is we were pioneers. We were essentially shaping what we define today as the gold standard in the industry. So we were paving the way for an ecosystem that was growing, being shaped by us and the other few players that were there. And these are gold standards that we are very fortunate and blessed are still carried on till today. How have we, 5 years on, maintained our leadership status? Today, Moms World has over 1 million mothers registered with us. This is the largest database of mothers under one umbrella in the entire Middle East region. We have over 120,000 products, and we deliver to moms' homes within a day to 2 days. And we've maintained that leadership by being very true to who we are as a brand. We built and we continue to try to build an authentic brand that delivers on a consumer need. And through our customer obsession, everything that we do is driven by the customer requirement. And when you focus on the customer first and foremost, the volume comes next. It's not the other way around. Now, the ecosystem has grown tremendously in the past 5 years. Everyone is coming online. That's a necessity because businesses that will not be online will probably be out of business. We've seen a lot of great brands that have tremendous USPs and are offering impact brands, and we see what we call the copycat brands. So, as long as, again, we are focused, building social impact in our business offering, focused on the customer, then we have a very exciting road ahead.
Thank you, Mona. Saba, having been part of the Dubai duty-free for over 3 decades, what is that special touch that you have added to purchasing, which is key for any retail brand?
My story is a bit different to everybody sitting here. When I first came to Dubai, I was surprised to see a lot of sand around and with very little sign of development. I would open my apartment window and say to myself, maximum 2 years, I'll be here, And yet I'm here today, and I call Dubai my second home. The journey in the last 3 decades at Dubai Duty Free have been brilliant. We opened 4 concourses, 4 terminals, my position, and coincidentally my position in the company also changed the same amount of time. Initially, we did all sorts of jobs, like starting from cleaning, merchandising, making cup of tea, writing purchase order, negotiating. And in the beginning, it was a bit difficult. It was a mammoth task to negotiate and to get right product at the right price because there was a lot of resistance from the local trade, but eventually we became friends. We started from the basement of a kitchen and turned it to a makeshift shopping experience then. And yes, today it is the #1 travel retailer, the largest travel retailer in a single location. And we have come a long way under the able leadership of an amazing Irishman who I know, Mr. Colin McLaughlin, who's our CEO and Executive Vice Chairman. Honestly, like when you talk about the touch, I'm a great believer that humility is the key to success. So that's what I learned in 33 years, and that's how I run my day-to-day life. That's what I believe in. And before I conclude, I would like to say that this is just the tip of the iceberg. At Dubai Duty Free, we'll continue to grow, we'll continue to expand, we will push the boundaries of retail, and we will enhance the customer experience as much as possible, and we will try to remain on top and be the movers and shakers in the travel industry in the world.
Thank you very much, Saba. Finally, we would like to hear what would be your advice today to any woman entrepreneur or woman in the business. Aisha?
Well, don't settle for less. Don't settle for less than what you really want. Most importantly, try to get some support. That's how I did it. I work 16 hours a day. I have a full-time job, I have a family, and I have my business, and it's doing really well. One lady once told me, do your best to take your daughter everywhere you go because they grow up so fast. This way you don't have to miss her for so long, and you get to grow your business. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been going really well. So get some support. I get my support from my family.
Thank you, Nisreen.
No one owes you anything. That's it.
Sarah?
Advice.
Be passionate and tenacious, and I don't think that gender therefore makes a difference.
Margarita?
Well, don't give up. Be passionate. Enjoy your life. Enjoy what you do. And if you need help, ask. And you will succeed.
Joy?
Oh, mine's easy.
Don't get married.
I think 2 pieces of advice. A, make your own money and build your own success story, because that's your self-worth. I think as women, the thing that frustrates me the most, and I think we talked about this, ladies in the back room, it frustrates me that the culture is get an education to find a rich husband so you're a success because you're married to the right guy. And I would love to see with these women on stage that you make your own money, you build your own success, and within that, you get a sense of accomplishment and self-esteem that is priceless. And my second piece of advice is just to have a really thick skin, like not care at all what anybody thinks. I think to be an entrepreneur, you really have to not care. And I think if you're the type of person who is, posting selfies on Instagram, wondering how many people like it, then you need to step off from being an entrepreneur, because my #1 advice to anybody or any woman is to just not care at all what anyone thinks.
Thank you, Joy. Sava?
I would say work hard, be yourself, take pride in what you're doing, choose a profession which you're passionate about and which you love.
Thank you, Saba. Mona Al-Gurg?
I would say find yourself a mentor, because the value that you can get out of a mentor is priceless. I'm on the board of Endeavor that really does support entrepreneurs through mentorship programs, and I've seen the difference in terms of how entrepreneurs start off with us, and then mentorship is a great valuable source, and I think that people should find themselves the right mentor, because through that mentor, the network that you can even be part of is quite invaluable.
That's true. Mona Ataya?
I always say, make what you do count, create positive social impact, ensure that you are authentic and real, and recognize that at the end of the day, as long as you make the right choices and the choices that are positive to your surroundings, then the end path is the right path.
Siddiqa?
Well, I think it's very important to understand that running a business will mean you will have to sacrifice some very important aspects of your life, as I think everyone touched on. And so what you need to do is make sure you're in the right stage of your life to make those sacrifices. But another piece of advice that I have is that for women entrepreneurs, I would really like to see them be the torchbearers to sort of change how gender is sort of understood in the workplace. So again, like everyone said, better maternity leave. So you, as a woman entrepreneur or as a female CEO, you take the initiative to make this situation better, because if you don't, you're going to be losing very good potential that you would otherwise have kept. And secondly, to make sure that there's more of a balance, when it comes to males and females in the workplace, whether it comes to pay parity or anything for that matter.
Thank you very much all for this fascinating discussion and valuable advices. All right, thank you all, and I wish you all the success always. Thank you very much. Thank you.